The very first person I said this to was Father Nick. And I said, Father Nick, Fork Church has not changed my life, but oh, how it has rearranged my life. I'm not going to talk about how that I came to Fork or why I came to Fork, because the point is I did. The point is that I did. And that was after a 50-year pause button on a steeple or the people. 50 years. I could have been the poster child for Helen Redding's song, Me and You Against the World, except my rendition title would have been Me and Me Against the World. I don't know how to say how clenched, how tightly closed my hands were. All of that effort and all that self-convincing, that I had one option, and that option was me and my ability. When I came to Fork, it was August 29th, 2021. There was a baptism. Phil, I don't know the family, but that's the little one that was being baptized. It's the first time I ever heard the words, with God's help, I will. More importantly, when we all stood up, and I say we stood up and said, we will, with God's help. First time I ever heard we acknowledge one baptism for the forgiveness of sins. And that's another story of my experience with the steeple and the people and being one of God's. So all of those new things happened, but here's what happened before I ever heard those words. I had to walk through those doors. But I had very tightly clenched, closed, on the defense, me and me against the world, hands at my side. There's one thing you can't do, and this is a visual. One thing you can't do is open a door. If you're like this, you can't open your any door. And that's not an easy door to open with clenched fist. So I had to open up my hand after 50 years of saying, I'll never. I opened that door, and here's some other things I found through the Episcopal Church in Fork that you can't do until you open up your hands. Once I opened that door, I had never made the sign of the cross. Sign of prayer, yes, but never in public. Here's something else I'd never done. Peace. Never had I made that. Never had I knelt at the Eucharist table, or my hands open. And never had I done this, Melissa, or Lindsay, or Debbie, or Jenny, whoever's up there, Steve. What a beautiful rendition, what a beautiful hymn. How touching, just to let you all know what that music ministry's done. Where do I go with this? Where do I go with this experience that I've had? I heard the words that with God working in me, I can do more than I could have ever asked or imagined. And I'm a living example of that. And I'm going to share a stray cat. Sorry, Jeanette. I had a stray cat show up, and I love birds. I didn't need a cat. I didn't want a cat. But I learned to love. I named him Seymour. I love him. I don't need him. I don't want him. I love him. And I can compare that to Fork. I didn't need the steeple. I didn't need the people. I love Fork. And that's my stewardship story. Thank you.
Thank you.